Hello, and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in the All About the Mouse Hop, where we scrapbook our Disney photos. So this month I'm starting off with a piece of white cardstock that I cut to 11.5 by 11.5, and I'm going around it with some Mermaid Lagoon's Distress ink because it matches the blue that's in the photo I'm using as well as the enamel dots that I want to use. This month's hop, we're supposed to use this picture over on the right for our inspiration. So I thought I would do a diagonal of stenciling and splatters to kind of replicate how this kind of looks as far as it goes in a diagonal and has little different bits. And I'm going to decorate this scrapbook page with little different bits, mostly Mickey heads and stars. So anyway, the picture I'm using comes from the world of Disney and Disneyland. And that kind of has a steampunk look. So I don't really have steampunk things, but I recently got this stencil from Echo Park, and it's called, it's their Carta geometric stencil. And I thought it has kind of that steampunk kind of design a little bit. Normally I would see this in metal because this actually reminds me of the metal floors they had at Body Wars and some other places. So that's why I got it. It has a retro vibe to it. So the photo I have has kind of this blue in it, but the paper I'm using from the same collection of Disney stuff that the enamel dots comes from has kind of a dark blue. So I thought if I would use both light blue and dark blue in my different elements, then I could use both the paper and the enamel dots and it would tie it into the photo. With the stenciling, I tried to kind of start out smaller and go larger in the middle and then get smaller again. And I was trying not to get too much of a boxy look, but with this stencil, that was kind of hard to do because everything's in kind of squares. So I tried to do dark and lighten it out, but I couldn't quite achieve that. So then when I add the splatters, that'll kind of soften the look. I did start trying to go around it with just the blending brush without the stencil, but that didn't work. And I checked, and that is where I'm going to cover up with a picture so it won't matter that that kind of smudged. For the splatters, I'm using Juniper Berry Distress Mica Stain. And this one came out with a Christmas set originally, and there were 3 of them, and one was kind of silver and one was a shade of red, which I think was Yuletide. So they're really kind of red, white, and blue. So his idea for Tim Holtz was to use mica stains not only on the holidays because they were put out for Halloween and Christmas, but also have colors that you could use year-round. So, of course, this would be good for patriotic colors, but obviously I'm using it for something that's not for a holiday. And now they have where you can get the mica stains individually instead of in a group. Actually, put out too much of this ink, so I went around and added some more splatters outside into the white area because I don't always like stark white paper on my layouts, and might as well use the ink that I already poured out. I'm not always a good judge on how much ink I'm going to need. I gutted a piece of Blastum scrapbook paper from Simple Stories Say Cheese Tomorrow at the Park collection, and I'm using this as my border for my scrapbook layout. So I wanted to bring the blue in here, so I'm using the Distress ink. I forget which one this was. I think it's Uncharted Mariner, but it has a little bit of purple to it, and it is a little bit too light when it goes on to the turquoise kind of paper, or aqua paper. So then I switched to Distress Oxide, the chipped sapphire, and I did that only because I don't have chipped sapphire and Distress ink. Just have it in the Oxide. Also, I realized I really did need to go around the inside because I'm going to be covering that up anyway. So then I just went around the outside. I got a piece of light blue cardstock to use for my mat. And that matches the blue that's in the photo as well as the Mermaid Lagoon. And then I go around that on 2 sides with the chipped sapphire because I'm only going to mat it just on one side. I'm doing this according to a sketch that I'm using from Susan Stringfellow, and it's part of the Disney Scrappers group because we're doing a sketch-a-thon in June, and this is the sketch for June 1st. I use mounting squares to attach my photo to the mat as well as photo squares on the matting paper so I can attach it to my layout whenever the splatters are dry. Of course, you see me make the silly mistake of putting my paper down to where the mounting screws are touching the glass, so one got stuck to the glass, which is a typical silly mistake that I would do. I used 1/4-inch double-sided tape to attach my white background to the frame. The mica stain seemed dry to the touch, but it did smear some, so it must not have been completely dry. So just to warn you, if you use mica stain, it does smear even when it looks like it's dry. Now in the sketch they show a title and then a little bit of journaling, so I'm just using this journaling element from Simple Stories, and this comes from the Say Cheese Classic Mouse journal elements. And even though it's not from the same exact collection, I thought it went really well because it has stars, and I'll be putting stars around my decoration as well as the paper that I already have. So that's a tip I can give you for when you're working with collections. A lot of times you run out of a lot of things, or maybe you only purchased a little bit. So I don't have a lot of the Say Cheese Fantasy left or the Say Cheese Tomorrow left. But if you look at the same type of line, and this is actually also called Say Cheese, it'll have some of the same colors. So if you looked at the same brand, but also if you look at other brands like some of the Echo Park or Color Play, things like that, if they're all from like the Disney collection, a lot of times some of the basic colors like red or blue might have the same shades, and they will go fine together. I like adding journaling so you can put some things that are not in the photos or you may not remember from the photos. So I put in here how we had stayed at the Howard Johnson's that was just down the road from Disneyland. So we walked to the World of Disney after we got settled in our hotel. And I may not have remembered. And in fact, this vacation was back in 2005, so I'm trying to get caught up on some of my photos. But because I'm doing it so late, I even had to ask my sister. She remembered what hotel we stayed at. And then I looked it up online just to verify that that looked like the hotel we stayed in. I'm not putting up the sketch that I'm using because it comes from a private group, so I don't know that I'm allowed to use that. But it shows some strips of paper or washi or something forming a square around the layout. So I'm going to be doing that with washi tape because when I saw this, I thought, well, I have a lot of Disney washi tape, or I even have a lot of other washi tape that I never use. So I thought this is a great time to use it. So I'm going to go around and frame in my picture with the washi tape, and then I'll add sprinklings of different things like our inspiration is supposed to show. And actually this sketch did have sprinklings of different things, so that's why I picked the sketch to do, because I thought it went with our inspiration. I'm using a quilting ruler to try to help me keep the washi straight because I thought that would be obvious if it wasn't. And then I kind of put the washi tape down and used my scissors to cut it straight. And then I start adding some of the embellishments that I have gathered here. So the embellishments I have are some punch outs of Mickey and Minnie from red and black paper, but I didn't do those, so I just bought those at a store, so I'm guessing they were from a paper punch. The stars, I have my own paper punch, and I just punched out paper that goes along with the pattern paper that I have. And then the Mickey heads, the larger ones, are some ones that I cut out using my Brother's Scan and Cut because I do have some Mickey Mouse files that I bought from Brother's Scan and Cut. I decided to use 3 different washi tapes and just alternate them. And 2 of them came from the Say Cheese Tomorrow at the Park. One of them is the stars, so I thought that would be good to tie the elements together. And then the other one has the gears on it, which I thought would be great because it has that steampunk look. The black washi is an old one that came from Simple Stories from their Carpe Diem collection, which was an old Disney one. And that has different little white symbols on it, so it has a variety like fireworks, airplanes, cameras, stars, teacups, pretzels, eyeglasses. So I thought that went really well with the inspiration picture. I apologize for getting my head in the way of the camera a few times, and that's because I was having trouble seeing the top of the layout to make sure it was straight and that I was getting the tape kind of evenly spaced. I decided to add some Mickey Mouse head stickers that I have from a sticker sheet. I got this with the scrapbooking kit when I went to Disneyland, so this was back from 2005. So I'm sure they don't make this anymore, and I don't even know what company made it. But I do like there's all the different colors that go with the star paper I already have, as well as the black, which I already have a lot of black in the layout, so they go well. And plus these Mickey heads are different sizes. And most of the decorations I have, other than the large paper cutouts, are mostly punch outs, so they're small. So I think it's great having, when you sprinkle things like this around, that they are different colors and different sizes, and that adds more interest to the page. Another trick, and I may have done this automatically without thinking about it, but someone vocalized it on a video, but whenever you put embellishments or even photos on, if the people in the photo are looking a particular way, it's good to have, we put them where they're looking towards the middle of the page, or in this case, the Mickey heads, have them face inside the page so it looks like they're looking into the page, and that'll help the person looking at your scrapbook page to be drawn into the page as opposed to out of it. I use my Nuvo Deluxe glue to add all the paper pieces, and I just kind of look around trying to vary the sizes and shapes of all the different things that I add so that I don't have anything the same next to each other. And then as far as the stars and the enamel dots, I try to cluster those in kind of groups of 3 to some degree, just so that I have different colors and shapes and sizes around. And that's one thing I do like about the Simple Stories enamel dots, is they come in different sizes so that you can get different colors and sizes around the layout. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. A lot of these are probably not made anymore, so you may not find them, and of course some of them are ones that I punched out. If some of them still are out there, there will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. I also mentioned this as part of a YouTube hop. We do have a playlist, so I'll have the playlist listed in the description below, and I'll also have a link to the playlist at the end of the video so you can hop along and see what other people came up with inspiration. I think it's always fun when we all use the same sketch or we all use the same inspiration and see how much variety people get from the same thing. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you and have a wonderful day.